God bless you. This is Rosemary Santiago from On Wings of an Eagle. Today I'm going to be kind of, it's something that I had done before, but in a different situation, because I think this is the time that we really have to look at this 10-point plan of Alice Bailey and see how close we are to the New World Order. Let's begin with a prayer. Father, in the name of Jesus, I give you thanks, Lord, for this opportunity. I ask the Lord that the hearts may be exposed, that they will be eagerly open, Father, to receive your word. I don't know when, who this is going to reach, how many people are going to come in, but you are in control of all those things. And maybe for now we don't see too much of progress, but there will be a moment where a lot of people are going to be tuning in and you will be speaking to them. So I ask you these things, Father, in Jesus' mighty name. Amen. Okay, let's get that first photo of Alice Bailey just for you to get an idea. She was born June 16th, 1880 in Manchester, United Kingdom. She died on December 15th, 1949 in New York. And the organization founded Lucy's Trust. Now we know that Lucy happens to be Lucifer. That's the name that they gave. We know the biblical name for him would be Halel, but they decided to keep it as Lucifer. And he's got many, right? Many titles. Okay, I'm going to start with exactly what her 10-point plan involved. Excuse me a second. I'll just pull this over. Okay. The idea was to take God and prayer out of education system. Children go to school to be equipped to face life. They are willing to trust. They are willing to value what is being given to them. And the problem lies when they start doing this in the school system and not within the home. If you take God out of education, what do we have? They will unconsciously determine that God is not necessary to face life. They will focus on those things the school counts them worthy to be passed on. Transcendental meditation is introduced in schools, taking children to altered states of consciousness to meet with demons, spirit guides. That's the new age. Of course, they're telling you that spirit guides are to help you. But let's see what the word of God says about something like that. Let's look into Proverbs. Proverbs 22:6. It says, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. That was the idea, right? Yeah, I'm going to throw in another one, which is very important also. Hope that my mind is faithful to me. Sometimes we read so many things and, okay, that was in, right now, 6. Let me see there. Give me a second. It's what the Lord says. Okay, there it goes. Deuteronomy chapter 6, instead of Numbers chapter 6, actually is the blessing of the family to their children. It says, and thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thine heart and with all thy soul and with all thy might. And these words which I command thee this day shall be in thine heart. and thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thine house, and when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up. In other words, when you're taking a walk with your kids, you can talk to them. In the car when you're driving, and they just happen to be buckled up in the back seat, right? You can talk to them about the things of God. It says, and when thou liest down, usually you say short prayers with your children. And when thou riseth up, because we should constantly be talking about God, right? And thou shalt bind them for a sign upon thine hand. It wasn't meant to be actually a strap. It was meant to say you will always carry the word of God with you. That's the whole idea, because you could strap it up and still not do the will of the Father. And they shall be as frontlets between thine eyes. Here's your front, here's the frontals. Also, between thine eyes, you have a brain there. You should be thinking and dwelling on this, right? And thou shalt write them upon the posts of thy house and on thy gates. This should be the post of your heart. Once you constantly repeat this, once it becomes your faith in the one and only God. Even though there's many gods, you can make a dog your God. You can make a rat, a snake, whatever you want as a God. But you're going to have to face the Almighty God in the time of judgment. So the idea is totally opposite. In her system, take God and prayer out of the education system. At one time, there was prayer. It says, reduce parental authority over the children. That makes it very simple. If there is no parental authority, then the government can easily set in, which we know this has happened already so many decades. Break the communication between parent and child so that parents do not pass on their Christian traditions to their children. Liberate children from the bondage of their parent traditions. That's according to what they think is a bondage. And it's actually whoever believes in the truth shall be free indeed. Promote excessive child rights. In 1997 to 1998, South Africa introduced child rights legislation, UNICEF Charter. Today, a child is able to say to parent, I do not want to hear that. I don't want to do what you are telling me. So that's outright like a, what do you call this? Just a refusal of the authority head. Same thing that people are doing with the things of God. It's called anarchy. Matthew 24:12. Matthew 20, no, let me go to Proverbs 23:13-14, because it's also abolish corporal punishment. This has been made law. The Bible says, do not withhold correction from a child, for if you beat him with a rod, he will not die. You shall beat him with a rod and deliver his soul from hell. Jesus said, in the last days, wickedness will increase. It says in Matthew 24:12, and because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. Once you take that authority, then the laws passed here in the land will not be. If you have no respect for the authority of God, and then you lack the respect and authority of the household, then when the law comes in, people just do whatever they want. We had that I think it was sometime last year. It was like between the 20 and 21. We saw what that was. We saw people breaking things down, setting fires, and all of that stuff. As you go along, as you see the plan, you notice how it has come to pass in these days. We're already here. We are already here. Teachers are agents of implementation. Now we have teachers that are teaching 5-year-olds very explicit sexual information when they don't even know the difference between, excuse the expression, their butt from their elbow. Your parent has no right to force you to pray or read the Bible. You are yourself. You need to discover yourself. That's where masturbation is being taught to the kids in these times. Self-expression, self-realization, self-fulfillment. That sounds very much of today, isn't it? Destroy the Judeo-Christian family structure or the traditional Christian family structure. The family is the core of the nation. If you break the family, you break the nation. And here, Psalm 127:1 is very interesting. This is for those who don't believe in the authority of God. Unfortunately, we're all going to give account one way or another. And it says, except the Lord build the house, they labor in vain that build it. Except the Lord keep the city, the watchman waketh, but in vain. And that's the problem. That's what we're seeing now. So you destroy the basics of the Judeo and Christian structure, family structure. So that's why the nation is in the most horrible condition I've ever seen in my whole life. Liberate the people from the confines of this structure. Promote sexual promiscuity. Youth, concept of premarital sex, fantasize it. Everybody will feel proud to be seen being sexually active, even those outside of marriage. Oh, we have, right? Look what it says, Ephesians 5:3-5. But fornication and all uncleanness. And I always advise everyone who listens to pull out a Bible. Whether it's a different version, it should say the same exact information. If you don't like the these and thous, you have a more English, not old English. But fornication and all uncleanness or covetousness, let it not even be named among you, as is fitting for saints. For this you know, that no fornicator, unclean person, nor covetous man who is an idolater has any inheritance in the kingdom of Christ and God. Ephesians 5:3-5. The next one, that was an A, this is B. Use the advertising industry, media, TV, magazine, film industry to promote sexual enjoyment as the highest pleasure in humanity. Advertising industry invests money towards their advertisements to the TV and radio. You know that they're going to get their money's worth. So somebody's announcing maybe a detergent and the woman comes out almost in a nightie. This is the type of thing that they're pushing. If sex is free, then make abortion legal and make it easy. Build clinics for abortion, health clinics in schools, enjoy sexual relationships, get rid of your unwanted pregnancies. That would be number 2. That is Miss Margaret H. Sanger, who came out of a very, very large family. I think it was about 12 in her family. And I guess that thing must have stayed in her mind. She lived September 14th, 1879 up to September 6, 1966. She aged 86. Her career, birth control activist. State, New York. Education, Cleveland College. Now, mind you, these birth control clinics always targeted the low-income people. So that would be Blacks, Hispanics, and anyone else that was considered not important enough to deal with. That's how it is. Okay. So Micah 6:7 says, shall I give my firstborn for my transgression, the fruit of my body for the sin of my soul? Just so happens that people say that there is nothing that would even touch the subject of abortion here. But if you read it well, it says, shall I give my firstborn? Maybe it's not a firstborn, maybe it's a second, third, your number 14, whatever, abortion, the fruit of my body for the sin of my soul. What is the sin of the soul? You committed adultery, you committed fornication, you had illicit sex. It says, make divorce easy and legal. Free people from the concept of marriage for life. So I found a little information that I would like to read it so you could understand the mindset of this crazy woman. Alice wrote over 65 years ago that love has got a mysterious link called the love bond. It is like an ovum, she's comparing it with the female egg, that comes out of the ovary as it travels through your system. It clicks a love favor in you, and there's one other person in the world who can respond to that love bond. When you see that person, everything within you clicks. That is your man, woman. If you miss him, you'll never be happy until that love bond cycles past. For many years, so for you to be happy, get that person at whatever cost. If it means getting him, her out of that marriage, in other words, if you feel this attraction for a man that's married or a woman that's married, that's okay. That person, that attraction was made for you and that person. This is what it's saying. If it means getting him, her out of that marriage, get him, her, that is your man or woman. It's a mistake for him, her to be elsewhere. And if you go together for some time and find that love has died, don't be held in bondage by the Christian values. It will never come back. What you need is an easily arranged divorce and allow another love bond to come forth. Just like an ovum comes up, and when it comes forth, you'll enjoy life again. That's why you have people that have gone through 20, 30, 40 partners. This happens also in homosexuality, and eventually they have some sort of sickness, right? Okay, it says in Malachi 2:15, 16, and did not he make one? Yet had he the residue of the Spirit, and wherefore one? That he might seek a godly seed. Therefore take heed to your spirit, and let none deal treacherously against the wife of his youth. For the Lord, the God of Israel, saith that he hateth putting away. For one covereth violence with his garment, saith the Lord of hosts. Therefore take heed to your spirit, that ye deal not treacherously. Like I said, you could look into any version. Malachi chapter 2, 15 to 16. And why it spoke of garment, it's the spiritual sense of in a garment, if you make it dirty, you could see it. God can see that garment of yours, your spiritual garment. But if you think about it, in order for you to commit fornication and adultery, you have to take your clothes off. Make homosexuality an alternative lifestyle. This is the woman that was born in 1880. She died at 69 years old, 1949. And look at the things that she's actually planting a seed in the minds of the one world system. According to Alice Bailey, sexual enjoyment is the highest pleasure in humanity. Therefore, no one must be denied and restricted on how to enjoy themselves. People should be allowed in whichever way they choose or want, whether it is homosexuality, incest, bestiality, as long as the two agree. This is the sick mind of that woman. Now, Leviticus 18:22-23 says, "Thou shalt not lie with mankind," speaking to the man, "as with womankind. It is abomination. Neither shalt thou lie with any beast to defile thyself therewith. Neither shall any woman stand before a beast to lie down thereto. It is perversion." Today, many churches marry gays, lesbians, and ordain gay priests. They themselves, a lot of them are pedophiles. Leviticus 20:13, "If a man also lie with mankind as he lieth with a woman, both of them have committed an abomination. They shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them." Now, mind you, the only difference is that the Lord Jesus Christ, when he came to die on that cross, it was to restore the relationship between the Creator and his creations. But he didn't die for you or anybody else to continue in sin. Number 7, it says, "Debase art, make it run mad," degradation of art. Promote new forms of art which will corrupt and defile the imagination of the people. Art is the language of the spirit. You're not lying. Art is the language of the spirit that's in operation. But look what it says, because everything starts with the mind, right? 2 Corinthians 10:4-6. "For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through God to the pulling down of strongholds, casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalteth itself against the knowledge of God, and bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Christ, and having in a readiness to revenge all disobedience when your obedience is fulfilled." Once you come to the Lord, once you are born again, you are a different creation in the Lord. You have the ability to stop the mind from things that are being bombarded. We're going to be bombarded until the day we leave, either through the death, physical death, or the rapture, because we will be taken out of here. Definitely. Number 8, use media to promote and change mindset. Use media, the new age, the press, the radio, TV. Sex outside of marriage, promiscuity is being promoted as natural. You watch gay sex on TV and home, cinema, advertising agencies spreading pornographic material and other sources, billboards, magazines. Number 9, create an interfaith movement. Oh, we've seen that because they have all these different symbols that came out not too long ago. Promote other faiths to be at par with Christianity. A lot of so-called Christians have, how would you say, they have been unfaithful. Okay. and break this thing about Christianity as being the only way to heaven. It is the only way to heaven. By that, Christianity will be pulled down and other faiths promoted. She said, promote the importance of man, that's called humanism, in determining his own future and destiny. She said, tell man he has the right to choose what he wants to be and he can make it happen. He has the right to determine his cause. This takes God off his throne. Interfaith movements are rising everywhere in the world today. They got a problem. Nothing takes him out of his throne. In Isaiah 41, if I'm not mistaken, Isaiah 40 or 41, he says that the nations are like a drop of water in a book. So this is who everyone's dealing with. Get governments to make all these laws and get the church to endorse these changes. Now we have church members that are doing one of these numbers. And we can't do that. The church must change its doctrine and accommodate the people by accepting these things and put them into its structures and systems. Have they succeeded? Today you wonder why, right? Why our churches are actually bowing down to these things. Let's see Galatians 5, 19 to 21. Now the works of the flesh are manifest, which are these: adultery, fornication, uncleanness, lasciviousness, idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, variance, immolations, wrath, strife, seditions, heresies, envyings, murders, drunkenness, revelings, and such like, of the which I tell you before, as I have also told you in time past, that they which do such things shall not inherit the kingdom of God. I'm going to give the description of that, then I'll continue just to mention a few little facts on the rest of the pictures. Manifest, the word is phaneros, it means apparent, manifest, evident, to be plainly recognized or known, publicly, externally, abroad, appear, known to manifest, known to manifest open or outward. Root word, phaino, it means to bring forth into the light, cause to shine, shed light, to become evident, to be brought forth into the light, come to view, exposed to view. So we are seeing these things no matter how you try. Whatever your lifestyle is, you can't hide it because it is being exposed. Adultery, to commit adultery with, have unlawful intercourse with another's wife, and in these modern times, the husband. Fornication, porneia, illicit sexual intercourse, adultery, fornication, homosexuality, lesbianism, intercourse with animals, we call that bestiality. Uncleanness, akarsia, in a moral sense, the impurity of lustful, luxurious, profligate living of impure motives, everything for money. Lasciviousness, asalgaya, unbridled lust. Now we know what a bridle is, right? What it's for, it's supposed to control. Unbridled lust in excess, licentiousness, wantonness, outrageousness, shamelessness, insolence, idolatry, idolatria, or we say idolatria in Spanish. The worship of false gods, idolatry of the formal sacrificial feasts held in honor of false gods, of avarice, as of worship of mammon, money. In the plural, the vices springing from idolatry and peculiar to it. Witchcraft, pharmakeia, the use of the administering of the use or the administering of drugs. That's where pharmacy comes in. Poisoning, sorcery, magical arts, often found in connection with idolatry and fostered by it. Metaphor, the deceptions and seductions of idolatry. They come with it. Hatred, echtra, hostility by implication, a reason for opposition, enmity, and hatred. Variance, eris, of uncertain affinity, a quarrel, by implication, wrangling, contention, debate, strife, variance. Are we seeing all of these things these days? I believe her 10 points really has been a wake-up call. Emulations, celos, we say celos in Spanish, excitement of mind, ardor, fervor of spirit, zeal, ardor in embracing, pursuing, defending, anything zeal in behalf of, for a person or thing, the fierceness of indignation, punitive zeal, an envious and contentious rivalry, jealousy. Have you seen all these different terrorists? How for their gods, they have the tendency to create a license to kill. Wrath, thumos, passion, angry, heat, anger, forthwith boiling up and soon subsiding again. Glow, ardor, the wine of passion, inflaming wine, which either drives the drinker mad or kills him with its strength. Strife, eritaya, apparently, a desire to put oneself forward, a wrong kind of ambition. The whole world is starting to, take over these things. Seditions, dihostasia, disunion, figuratively, division, sedition. Heresies, airesis, acting of taking, capture, storming a city, choosing, choice, that which is chosen, a body of men following their own tenets, their sect, party. We had that example with the Sadducees and the Pharisees. Of the Christians, dissensions arising from diversity of opinions and aims. Envyings, that's tonos, probably akin to the base of an ill will, jealousy, spite, envy. Of the following manner, corrupt oneself, be corrupt, defile, destroy. That sure enough covers a lot of what we are seeing today. Murders, bonus, from an obsolete primary, to slay, murder, be slain with, slaughter. Drunkenness, methe, intoxication, drunkenness. Revelings, homos, a revel, carousel, a nocturnal and riotous procession of half-drunken and frolicsome fellows who after supper parade through the streets with torches and music in honor of Bacchus or some other deity, and sing and play before houses of male and female friends. Hence, used generally of feasts and drinking parties that are protracted till late at night and indulge in revelry. And we have that right at Times Square, when instead of giving the old year to the Creator, they give it into more drunkenness, more insecurities, more paganism, more everything that you can think of that's contrary to the Word of God. So I would like Madeline Murray O'Hare. She's the one that made it possible for the schools to eliminate prayer and even because at one point they used to read the Bible. Madeline Murray O'Hare, born April 13, 1919, Beach View, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, died September 29, 1995, San Antonio, Texas. Her books, What on Earth is an Atheist? And she's got others if you want to find out. Movie, they made one called Godless in America. And now we have the one that used to do her campaigning, which I think that was a hit below the belt. William J. Murray is O'Hare's son, who became famous for being a plaintiff in the Supreme Court case that removed mandatory Christian prayers from public schools. He eventually grew away from her, becoming a conservative Christian who now chairs the Religious Freedom Coalition and rarely gives any comments on his family. O'Hare reacted to that betrayal, quote unquote, by saying Bill sold out to the highest bidder. And yeah, definitely sold out, not SOLD, but SOULED, out to Yeshua, who paid the highest price with his own death. So all we got to do is look out of our window, past our noses, and we see how this woman who was born in 1880 left Earth at 69 years old with her Luciferian relationship with, I can't remember her name, and I wouldn't even want to mention it in my lips. I believe she was Russian, and all these people together, and Crowley, and all this sacrificial thing with Satan, and waiting for the so-called, they call it, what is it, Theosophy, Maitreya, and those are things that we should start understanding, that these things are already here, and it should have been time. The Lord spoke about when a woman gets those primary labor pains, but it's not the giving birth, but we've already been birthing, and pretty soon it's time to get out of here. So I suggest, I can't make you live it, just like God himself, he gave you will to choose, but he gave his only begotten son. And that's your opportunity. That's your ticket out of hell. So right now, I'm just going to present you before the Lord. It's very simple words. Be truthful with yourself. You can't fool God. He knows you. And it goes like this. God, I have sinned against you. I recognize that I have not the best of life. I accept your son's sacrifice. He washes me with his blood. I plead for forgiveness. I ask that your Holy Spirit guide me to the truth, and that you write my name in the book of life. I ask you these things in Jesus' mighty name. Father, I give you thanks. You know all the struggles. It's been a long trip, but you're faithful all the time, Father, and you pull us through. There's a lot of hurt, spiritually, emotionally, physically, financially, and socially. We all need you. We need your intervention, Father. I ask you, Lord, that you may bless their lives, give them victory over their lifestyle, Father. In Jesus' mighty name, I pray. Amen. This has been Rosemary Santiago from On Wings of an Eagle. Please find yourself Ask around a church that teaches the truth of the word from Genesis all the way to Revelation. God bless you.